right, so jumping in on this particular episode of the Pop Culture POV, I'm going to talk about my adoration of this series called 911 Lone Star or Lone Star 911. It is led by we all from the 80s enjoy Rob Lowe, so he is in charge of the 126. It's a firehouse, and just the assemblage of stuff that comes with it, right? It is a show that's a spin-off of the original series, which was head up by Angela Bassett, which is also equally good. Connie Britton started the show. Jennifer Love Hewitt was on the show. The actress Vanessa Williams is now on the show. Rockman Dunbar was on the show. I mean, it is great for sure. That was the original. But to me, there is just something so special about 911 Lone Star. And I wanted to stop down for a pop culture POV, a pop culture point of view, to kind of talk about it and see what it is that I like about it. Because this is like, multiple seasons now that I get so excited about this series. And you got to know, in the vein of shows nowadays where they don't some of the shows are always going to be outmatched when it comes to streaming, because streaming could go to a more pivotal yet darker place or more shock value place than regular television. This particular show aired immediately after the Super Bowl, when the Super Bowl was on Fox one year, and that was what ushered it into me enjoying the show and watching it. So this is on its about third season now, and that's to say that every year another network has this big game, but not every year the lead-in, being the big game, will make the show that leads into it be memorable. And I mean, I don't know the numbers for everything else. I think the Equalizer, that was a lead-in from the big game into to that show or whatever being premiered. But anyways, Lone Star, it just was different to me. I liked it, and that's to say, my TV viewing goals or what I enjoy isn't like I'm not like a person who necessarily is into these with this, not procedural, but like I don't watch Chicago Fire or Chicago Med. I don't watch Grey's Anatomy. I do think I like New Amsterdam quite a bit. New Amsterdam, I believe, is on NBC on Mondays. But this is not necessarily my kind of show, unless it is. And I really have to give credit to a couple of things. And that's what this episode of Pop Culture POV is going to be about. It is really a wonderful, 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 wonderful cast. And they interact really well as characters to each other. And I could only hope and think, and I think you hope and think this for every show, not to say that it happens, you hope that, like, man, do these people kind of enjoy their coworkers too? It feels as if they do. Nowadays, it's hard to tell, because on social media, it could always look like, hey, look at us. We're the cast that, likes to hang out together. But I feel something uniquely different about the cast of Lone Star. Obviously set in Austin, and that's a place that I've not been to. I've only been actually to Dallas for a brief moment, so I don't know really anything about Texas culture, nor do I really want to be honest. But wow, that was shady. But I think what ties it together is just the cast themselves. The story is set where Rob Lowe's character, Owen Strand, and his son are in New York City. I guess Owen Strand does come from the same type of work, but in New York City. And then the storyline does start, and it is arced as such, where he has an attachment, we can say, from even 9/11 stuff. So for the most part, he is a New Yorker, but with this new opportunity to go to Austin, Texas, to be to head up the 126. That's what he does. That's their firehouse. The son himself, when we start off in the first episode, and I'm not recapping the series by any means, I'm just kind of giving the setting of where it starts from. The son is starting off from the moment we meet them in New York, like unhappy. There's a specific thing that had happened, and it created some unhappiness, and it just poses to be a perfect time for him to come to Austin with his father, and them both sort of start over. Um, the cast themselves, like I say, it's I hate when I have to use these words that could seem so obvious, but they're not necessarily obvious. But it is a huge variety. Um, we have just a warmth about the characters, and I feel like even as they grew, season one, they had they added new cast members to season 2 and 3, and it felt like the firehouse, the ambulance, and everyone that was involved in the show, like they all kind of came together a little bit more, is what it felt like. You have really cute storylines that of course I enjoy. Tarlos, which would be TK and Carlos, that seems to be a running storyline, a very hot and steamy one, by the way, at the end of season 2. Was it 2? Season 2, yeah. So yes, if you want to watch the romance that is that, it definitely gets steamy, just like the firehouse would. I in particularly enjoyed, Paul is one of the stories that we showcase, and there hasn't even been nearly enough of what I would want to be shown, but this show Lone Star has already dipped into just a touch, just a smidge, but enough to want you wanting more, of how Paul would navigate in the space of dating. So you have a show that is very much, to procedure, to, whatever your 911, Lone Star, the 126 Firehouse would require, but then you get to see the characters off off hours, I guess, and really get to know them and some of the things they deal with as a human or on a human level. And the firehouse itself, I don't know, what's great about Owen Strand, which is played by Rob Lowe, is that he didn't necessarily create this to be a space that's has lots of variety and all walks of life kind of a thing. This is not what he aimed for, but it just goes to show, him being somebody from New York City, I don't know that, in our fictional world here, I don't know that the other firehouses are going to have a, in Austin and its surrounding areas, they're going to have the type of workers that the 126 has. That just comes from Owen Strand and him learning and knowing how to assess talent and bringing in the right people, the best people, versus maybe what happens a lot of times is people bringing in, specifically like somewhere like Austin, bringing in people that would look, talk, and act more similar to specifically who Owen Strand is. And the fact that didn't happen, it almost was like not a given, but it should be a given, but it wasn't a given. I think I said that right. But it just has me enjoying the show. It's turned into a little bit of appointment television for me. I never want to miss a 126 Lone Star. No, not 126. 126 is the crew. 911 Lone Star. I never want to miss it. I've seen that they've done a couple crossovers where they'll have the LA version, which was the original series, crossover, and every time all I say is, wow, it's cool that they're like working together, but there is just nothing comparable to the 126. There is nothing comparable to the particular way these people are with each other. And it's a scripted series, so of course it just seems really, really fun. Obviously that's a very scary and dangerous job, and a job that we have to, salute our frontline workers and all these things. But I think it's done, and it's done right. And I just was like, wow, what do I talk about here on another episode of Pop Culture POV? And I was like, a lot of times, the people will do their episodes based on whatever is like algorithmically friendly. And then I was like, I could also do episodes on things that I just enjoy, because I know there's people who love this show too. So I'm going to do it on this and say to keep watching. And, who knows, maybe I will add another series on randomlyronniejr.com, or the other channel, youtube.com/Ronnie Media page, or the patreon.com/randomlyronniejr, one of the three, where we break down or talk about, a season of 911. I mean, we had that really just, was it Gina Torres is the actress? We had this scene that it wasn't even a finale, but it felt like a finale moment, where they have this big unified, situation, real scary situation with the 126, and they all bond together to get through it. But then she comes home and she finds something that really has changed her life. And it was at this moment that you see all the characters. Grace is her best friend, and Judd and Grace are together in the show, and they had to sort of be there for their, I guess in this case they would be their godchildren. They had to be there for their godchildren, and they had to know, to their friend played by Gina Torres, they had to know that she was dealing with something in a tragic capacity, and still just like not pry, but like be there for the kids. Like, it just was like you're watching it and you're like, okay, I'm just watching Lone Star for fun. But they feel like, the cliche way to say it is, I'm like, they feel like they're people, and you don't want to see going through these things. So yeah, like I said, executive produced, all by, Angela Bassett, from the original series, Ryan Murphy production in general. And I just feel like, it's not stated enough on how wonderful the Lone Star 911 Lone Star cast is, and the 126, and how like I end up being like, that's right. Let's go. 'Cause it's a really fucking cute show. It's a warm show. It's a sweet show. And, I'm trying to add a bunch of new things to my pop culture POV episodes. And I was like, what is something I really want to talk about? Whether it is something that's super popular or not. Granted, I do think it's a little bit popular, but I like this. And honestly, I would like to interview some of the cast from 911 Lone Star, because I like the show so much. Okay, let me stop talking. The show is on Fox 11, and it's led, like I said, by Rob Lowe, who plays Owen Strand, and it's got a great cast, and go watch it. This has been the Pop Culture POV, and yeah, the 126, you can't count them out. popculturepointofview.com also, if you want to support. And that wraps it up. Okay, bye.